Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Our next story is a prime example of what happens when an entitled Karen mistakes a towering grunge goth teen for a Walmart employee just because she needs someone to carry her bags. Karen mistakes me for a Walmart employee in a Nirvana tee. So this happened several years ago when I was in my late teens, early 20s at the local Walmart. I was going through a grunge goth phase, and so wore mostly black jeans and black t-shirts with grunge metal band logos. Outside of a Hot Topic or a Spencer's, I doubt I'd be mistaken for a typical employee. Apparently, the proverbial entitled Karen disagreed. There I am, looking through the produce aisle near the front of the store when I hear a loud ahem. I promptly ignored it because I was in a bit of a hurry and just wanted to get home ASAP. I thought it was probably directed at someone else. That apparently was not what the entitled Karen wanted, because she jabbed me on the shoulder, digging her nail in until I thought she was trying to draw blood. I turned around, somewhat angered. Now, here's another little detail about me. I'm 6'5", built like a football lineman, and not particularly sociable outside of friends and family. So when I turned around, squared up to her, and glared at the diminutive Karen remaining completely silent, I could tell for just an instant she was having second thoughts about her obviously poor decision. Normally, I wouldn't be quite so abrasive, but like I said, I was in a hurry, and I don't particularly like being poked and prodded if someone wants my attention. I was also in a bit of shock that someone I didn't know was actually interrupting me while I was shopping. Why didn't you turn around when I first tried to get your attention?" asked the Karen. "I need you to carry my groceries for me out to my car." I don't," I said, trying to process her bizarre demand. "It's company policy. Walmart employees have to take out any customer's groceries to their car upon request. Chop, chop," the Karen said, holding out 6 bags of groceries to me. "I don't work here," I said, figuring out why a random stranger made such a bizarre demand. "Of course you do. I've seen other teens working here wearing the same thing as you," said the Karen. "You've seen other employees wearing all black and a Nirvana t-shirt without a name tag?" I said, looking at her with obvious skepticism. At that point, I could see it dawn on her face that absolutely nothing about my outfit screamed underpaid, overworked Walmart employee, but surprisingly, even this didn't completely deter her. Cue her obnoxious sigh. "Well, I still need someone to carry my bags for me," said the Karen, in the exact same entitled tone she'd used before. Now, if she was an old grandma or in a wheelchair, I might have still helped her if she asked nicely, just because I try to be nice to those in actual need of help. I looked this 30 to 40-year-old Karen over before saying, "You don't appear to be elderly or physically disabled. I think you got this," and promptly turned my back on her to continue my shopping. I looked over my shoulder a few steps away and watched her carrying her own bags out the exit without the slightest bit of difficulty. Sounds to me like this lady was super entitled and lazy and didn't need any help in the first place. But thing is, even if they are elderly or disabled, how are they going to get it out of the car at the other end? After realizing he's not staff, she still tried to pull the, "well, someone should carry my groceries" card. Honestly, I respect the restraint here. If someone dug their nails into my shoulder in a store, I'd be debating more than just glaring. And our second story. I didn't work there, but I couldn't say no to helping this adorable lady. Having a seriously crappy week, so I thought I'd throw out some positivity in the form of an adorable interaction that happened a few weeks ago. I tend to frequent a store called Tuesday Morning. It's something of a discount shop along the lines of Home Goods, just much smaller and more diverse selections. I always check to see if anything from the pet department has made its way to the clearance shelves. It's rare, but when it happens, the deals can be amazing. Despite clearly knowing where things are in the place, I look nothing like their staff. I can't wear blue jeans, part of their uniform, nor do I have on a screen-printed t-shirt with the store name on it in large letters. For those curious, I was wearing colorful leggings, an oversized shirt, and had on my coat, chunky scarf, and backpack-style purse. As I mentioned, I was checking out the shelves in the pet area and adjacent clearance section when the following interaction occurred. Older woman, OW. "Excuse me, but where's the bathroom?" Me. "Oh, it's just around the corner. Heads up, though, it's out of soap. But if you need some, I've got hand sanitizer." OW. "Thank you, young lady." OW disappears to the bathroom for a few minutes, then comes back. OW, if you don't mind, can I use your hand sanitizer? Me, of course. Fished it out of my purse and let OW use it. OW, thank you again, if you don't mind. While I have your attention, may I ask where dishcloths are? Me, of course, next aisle over. OW disappeared again for a few minutes, then came back to find me where I'd moved from the clearance aisle to the adjacent pet stuff aisle. OW, if you don't mind me bothering again, young lady, do you happen to know where pet fountains are? Me, 4 feet to your left. Another minute or two passes before the OW turns to me once again. It's then that I realize she actually thinks I work there. All this time I assumed it was just friendly chit-chat. I got a slight chuckle out of the misunderstanding. OW, excuse me, is this everything you have in stock right now? Me, oh, I don't work here. I'm sorry if I gave you that impression, smiled and slightly chuckled. OW, oh, I'm so sorry, honey. Here I've been pestering you all this time. Me, didn't bother me one bit. It's always nice to shop with friendly people around. OW, you're right, it is. Now if I could just find what I'm looking for, I've been to 8 shops and haven't found it anywhere. Me, what are you looking for? OW, I need one of those water fountains for pets, but I need one that's battery powered. I don't have a place I can put it and plug it into the wall. I'd never heard of such a thing and pulled out my cell phone to check Amazon real quick. I discovered a single unit that was battery powered, and the description clearly hyped the first everness of this feature. I told the woman what I'd found. She read my phone and agreed it's exactly what she's looking for. She clearly wasn't comfortable searching Amazon herself, but when I asked her, she said she was happy to purchase online. Apparently, she'd been begging her kids, my age 31 and older, for the last month to check online for, and no one had. I got her cell phone number, texted her the link, and she opened it up on her phone. We parted ways, both smiling. I'd had a lovely conversation with a very sweet lady, and she had finally found the item she'd spent a month hunting for. Reddit's been full of feel-good stuff today. I'm loving it, and loving this. The world needs more people like you, OP. You just made that adorable old woman's month, and now she'll think of you when using it. That kind of karmic energy can't be bought. And our last story. Caught my neighbor stealing utilities, shut him down without a word. A couple years ago, my wife and I bought an older but well-located fixer-upper in a quiet neighborhood just outside Austin, Texas. The previous owners were old family friends who hadn't lived in the house for several years. They'd moved abroad and were eager to sell. We got a great deal, but the house definitely needed some TLC. The front door was held shut with just a padlock, no deadbolt, there wasn't a proper fence or gate, and the landscaping had been overtaken by weeds and volunteer trees. It had that nobody's home vibe, and apparently the neighbors had gotten used to treating it that way. The first day we moved in, there was a random bicycle parked in our carport. I moved it to the sidewalk, and later that day, some guy came pounding on our gate, demanding to know where his bike went. I didn't answer the door. He left after a few minutes, looking angry. That was my first red flag about this neighborhood. I didn't have any other major issues for a while, though people kept parking in front of our gate or even blocking our driveway. I fixed that with a bright yellow "No Parking, Active Driveway" sign. That helped a lot. But last month, something weird happened. I noticed the water pressure in our house had dropped dramatically one morning while I was taking a shower. At first, I chalked it up to the old plumbing, but then I heard the faint whir of a pump motor running next door. That's when it clicked. Our next-door neighbor, let's call him Jerry, is a grumpy, retired mechanic who lives in a 2-story duplex. He lives on the first floor and rents out the top unit to college students. He was very vocal about not wanting our friends to sell the house to anyone, and even more annoyed when he found out we planned to live here full-time. He told our friends before we bought the house that he didn't want neighbors, and now I was beginning to understand what that really meant. I did some snooping, legally mind you. I watched the pattern every time our water pressure dropped, his outdoor pump kicked on. When the pump stopped, our pressure returned. Suspicious, right? The bills started adding up too. Our water usage had always seemed high, even when the house was empty, except for a couple plants and a dog. But now I had a theory. Somewhere on the property, Jerry had spliced into our water line, probably years ago when the house sat empty. In Texas, tampering with someone else's utilities, even water, is a criminal offense, but I wasn't quite ready to go nuclear. I wanted a cleaner solution that didn't require court or confrontation, yet. So I shut off my main water valve at 6 a.m. one morning, right as Jerry's pump kicked on, and then I waited. Apparently, the water line he had tapped was feeding directly into his pump, which in turn pressurized the water system in his house, but without water to feed it, the pump began running dry, which any plumber will tell you is a terrible idea. Burned out motors, fused wiring, not my problem. By midnight, I could hear yelling coming from next door. Their tenants had no water. Their lights were flickering on and off. I guess the overloaded pump pulled enough current to trip the circuit breaker. Maybe worse, considering this guy had ancient wiring. By 3 a.m., one of the tenants had packed up and left. By the next afternoon, I saw a moving truck out front. The other tenant followed soon after. Didn't take long for Jerry to figure out something went wrong. A week later, he walked up to my gate and called out, "Hey, did you turn off your water last week?" I gave him the most innocent face I could muster. "Oh, yeah, we had a leak in one of the pipes. Plumber came out and capped it off for now." He squinted at me like he knew I knew, but didn't say anything else, just nodded and shuffled back to his house. Turns out in Texas, if a tenant files a complaint about loss of water or power, the landlord can be fined if they fail to maintain essential services. Jerry got slapped with a $1,200 code enforcement fine and had to refund both tenants' deposits. Plus, he couldn't rent out again until the plumbing and electrical were brought up to code, which would cost thousands. Last I saw, he packed up and moved in with his daughter across town. No tenants, no water theft, no grumpy stares from over the fence. I hired a licensed plumber to audit the whole water line and found a suspicious secondary pipe running along the edge of the crawl space, likely where he'd tapped in. We had it removed and sealed professionally. I also installed a gate, proper fencing, and a water meter on the main line to track future usage spikes. Okay, I'm sorry, but this is legendary rural revenge. Like, you're telling me this crusty old I don't want neighbors dude had the audacity to illegally splice into your water line, then got shocked Pikachu face when his tenants bailed after you shut it off? The absolute nerve. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.